All of a sudden, the midwife was just like, look down, your baby. What? And I looked down and there's just a head of hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. Not all newborns are cute. So I was just prepared for that.
I mean, most are not when they come out. Because
Yeah.
they've just been through a lot.
I know, literally look like aliens.
His head shape was pretty good when he came out.
He was, yeah. He didn't have a cone head or anything.
Your face when he's coming out is absolutely hilarious. You're like, just the most, like, what's happening?
Oh, there's a toot.
Excuse you. He's got,
Let it rip. Let it rip.
Microphone to the butt. Oh.
He is a tooty monster. If you hear honking in this episode, it's because Sarah has a goose on her.
I do. Little goose.
On her lap.
Little goose squawks.
Yeah. And for those who are not seeing the video, it's actually our baby. It's not a real
actually
goose.
a goose.
But he does like to squeak and squawk.
He does.
And he's asleep right now. So this will be interesting.
Yes.
We'll see if he stays asleep this whole time or if it gets real fun.
Yep. We'll find out.
But welcome back.
Here we are.
And it feels like welcome back to us.
Oh my gosh.
As well. It's been a minute since we've done a podcast.
It is. It has
been a crazy couple weeks.
Yep. Two and a half weeks of just the most life-changing adjustment you could ever imagine.
I mean, yeah, it is pretty life-changing, and I'm like, people are probably like, duh.
Right.
But then when you go through it, it's just like a whole different thing.
I just don't think there's a way to explain it to someone who hasn't done it. And you can explain it all you want or say that like it's hard and it's going to be an adjustment, but I think anyone who's productive is like, it'll be fine. I'm going to be fine. It work. Yeah. It's not going to be that hard for me. Yeah. Like no, it's freaking hard.
At least it is for us. And if it wasn't for you and you just figured it out right away, then God bless. Like, truly, that's awesome.
Give me your secret.
Yeah. He is a sweet little nugget.
He is, obviously, like, so grateful. Couldn't love him anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a hard transition.
It is. And we'll get into that in our next
episode. Yeah.
This episode, we're going to talk about the day that you gave birth.
Woohoo.
And like what we did leading up for it. We had a lot of questions just asking like, what did you do to prepare? How was the day that you gave birth? What happened? All that. So we're just going to dive into that.
Okay. Wow.
Let's start with, what did you do to prepare to have like, because you had a pretty good, for your first
I would
birth,
say it wasn't
you
like,
had a really great childbirth.
Like it wasn't super long. It wasn't super fast. It was like, I think it was pretty average, I guess from the
time you pushed though, it was like bing, bang, boom, it was out.
Yeah. But just from like the whole, like when I started to experience like actually painful contractions to the time he came out was like 20 hours, I think.
20, yeah.
About.
Yeah.
Because it was basically midnight and then he was born at 9 p.m. Is that 21 hours? I'm like, I literally can't do math right now. 9, 10, 11, 12. I think about 21 hours. Yeah, 21 hours. I think the average like childbirth for a first time mom is 24 hours.
Okay.
Or labor, not birth. The time in labor. So I would say, yeah, it was a very smooth experience. I will say that. Yeah. Because it's just like everything just progressed very normally and until the time that he came out. Which was a blessing.
So a couple of things to note. I mean, it's going to be things that you probably have already heard, but at 37 weeks, she started eating dates. She ate 6 dates a day, 3 in the morning, 3 at night, every single day, because the drill sergeant, aka me,
made sure that I did,
making sure that was happening.
Yep.
And then raspberry leaf tea every single night. You had that every single night. Yeah. You worked out pretty consistently.
Yeah. Up until the end, I still walked a lot at the end.
Yeah. You just stayed active.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like in the last days, even though I was so uncomfortable, I was just like, I still would like go walk on the treadmill, or we'd go for a walk outside just so I could get as much like downward motion as possible. Try to get him to move on down.
Move on down the road.
Yeah. Exactly. Ease on down. Ease on
We
down.
actually sang that as she was pushing.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so stressful. So funny that I like created this whole playlist and I didn't want to put music on one time.
Yeah.
We never put music
that's
on.
True.
And I was like, I don't want to.
She made the, people, said like, oh, you should make like a playlist that you can play to like
while you're in labor.
Yeah.
Or just like set the right mood or make you feel a certain way. And I never wanted to put the music on. Our doula at one point was like, do you want to put some music on? And I was like, honestly, no. I want to sit here in silence. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Yeah. Just like, it seemed like it would be too much. Like I was already labor is such a sensory experience already.
I can imagine.
That it was just like, I think even a peaceful song on, even like worship music. Obviously I had a ton of worship music on my playlist, but I was like,
you had quite the eclectic.
I did. And I was honestly really looking forward to listening to it. And then I didn't want to hear any of it. It sounded like too much. I was just like,
from worship music to Beyonce.
Yeah.
To like Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
To
NSYNC. Britney Spears.
It was like if we did, I think it would be a sensory overload for anybody. Yeah, that's like I should
just put that playlist on now.
You should,
because it's
just like
it's
throughout the day.
It's just like all my favorite things from across my whole life of music listening.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia.
Yes, but yeah, I just never. It was like the thought of there being constant sound in this room just feels like it would be too much for me. So I'm already just a lot's going on.
So. Up until it was 40 days, it was 40 weeks. And how many days was it? 2. So 2 days past
his due date.
Yep. We thought for sure he was going to come 2 days before.
2 days early.
Yeah, because his due date was October 4th. And we thought for sure he was going to come October 2nd because Sarah's brother who passed away in 2016. 15. I do that every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's his birthday. But of course, like since we knew for sure, that's definitely not what happened.
Of course. But we were just kind of thinking that it would be a cool God moment or a God wink, and like, oh, he's gonna be born on your brother's birthday, who's like so meaningful. Mm-hmm. Then it didn't happen, but it's okay because he got a new birthday
when he was meant to come out.
Mm-hmm. And then we thought maybe he was gonna come on his due date and be one of the 4%.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So then 2 days later was when it happened. Yeah. But it started at midnight? Well, it started at 5.
Well,
kind of with your first early contractions,
I was having like some very like not painful contractions for like days in advance.
Oh, I will say, okay, so all the stuff that she did, the raspberry leaf tea, their dates, and the working out. But then I got her a prenatal massage.
I was going to say that. It was specifically a birth prep massage.
Yes.
That I got on the 5th.
Which is the day that she got the she started going into labor.
And I actually, after that massage, I started spotting. Sorry to be TMI, but I got home and I was spotting and I was like, oh my gosh, that means that labor's coming. I'm so excited. And that started pretty much right after the massage.
That's a magical massage.
The massage was amazing. The massage was awesome.
You want to shout them out? Like who you went to?
Red Moon Wellness. If you live in New York City, it's in Park Slope in Brooklyn. Yeah. It was fantastic.
And it obviously worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And literally he came out later. I mean, I started having contractions, later that day. So it was great. It was super relaxing.
Crazy.
Also. And yeah, I would highly, highly recommend. I want to go back there for like postnatal massage.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of started having like really sporadic, not painful contractions of like here and there over the few days prior. And then, on the 5th, it was like after I got home from that massage, I basically just like was lying down, resting. Cause like I was starting to, the contractions weren't regular or anything. They were just kind of like, one would come and then it would be a while and then another one would come. And like, sometimes it was like a little bit painful, but not really. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until midnight that it started to like really pick up as far as like the uncomfortability of it. Cause that's when we tried to go to bed
LOL. We thought, is that when we went to bed around midnight?
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah.
So
I think
it was
maybe
okay.
11 something
We thought
we
we felt
getting
pretty
in bed.
confident that this is probably going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, like we'll go to the hospital in the morning.
Go to bed,
sleep.
get a good night's sleep as much as you can.
Yeah.
So I took melatonin. I took 2 sleep gummies. And so then I went to sleep in about an hour and a half-ish, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah,
later.
maybe 2 hours. I
she
pretty
was
much,
like, hey, they're happening. The contractions
Yeah.
are happening like every 3 to 5
I really
minutes.
didn't sleep at all. Like when we like went to bed, it was like that's when they decided to start ramping up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like kind of timing them, and then I would have, they were still very kind of sporadic. Or it would be like 7 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And so there was one time where I think it was a 12-minute gap in between where I started to fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then one happened. And then after that, they were never more than 12 minutes apart after that. So then I was just up bouncing on the ball, just like breathing.
Yeah, taking some deep breaths.
Yeah, and timing them. And then they started to be like, 3 to 4 minutes apart. And I was like, I didn't think that would happen as quickly as it did. I thought it would labor at home a lot longer.
Yeah, because they were saying like labor at home as much
long as
you can.
possible. Yeah.
And then when they get to about 4 minutes, they said 4 or 5-ish minutes to call and probably come into the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
that's what we did. I was texting with our friend and doula during that. And I was like, we need to go to the hospital. Like this just seems faster than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We called the hospital, and when we talked to the midwife, she was like, yeah, she was like, you could labor at home a little bit longer, or you could just come in. And I was like, I think I'd rather, because they were 3 to 4 minutes apart. I was like, I'd rather just get there.
Yeah.
So I can get into my room and just like.
Well, it's your first time too. So it's just
yes.
like, I
like,
want to be somewhere where
someone
something
knows.
happened.
Yes. So there's someone there who knows what they're doing.
And we're not like having a baby in an Uber on the way there.
Heck no.
So we called the Uber and got to it was about like a 25-minute, 30-minute drive to the place or to the hospital. And then we got there around 4 a.m.
Yeah, around 4. Yep. Because I think it was 3 when I woke you up, and I was like, okay, I think we need to go.
Yeah.
My parents were here, so we woke them up, told them that we were going to the hospital. And they're so sweet. They literally got up at that time and like got ready and then came to the hospital. And then I didn't see them until after we had the baby.
Yeah, because the hospital didn't allow anybody. They only allowed, I think, 2 people outside of you, which is me and the doula.
Yeah.
And so they had to wait basically in the waiting area the whole time. And they did.
And they
basically waited there the whole day.
And visiting hours technically end at 9, and he was born at 9:05. And but they were,
of course,
thankfully the nurses on the like postpartum floor were very sweet and let them come up and didn't even like try to kick them out, like let them stay as long as they stayed for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, which was nice.
So that was very nice. But anyway, so we got to the hospital at 4, got greeted by a really crotchety front desk woman. Yep. Which was a delightful experience.
Yeah, that was a bummer. We'll say. I'm just like, hey, we're all like, if you're going to be at the front desk and there's a lot of like very vulnerable people coming in at the like most special time in their life.
Yeah.
Just put a smile on.
Right.
Just smile.
Or maybe wait 2 seconds before you ask about billing. I'm like, I'm having a contraction. Maybe don't ask me about billing.
Bent over, having she like was holding the piece of paper. She's like, once you're done with that contraction, can you sign this? And like, can you sign these papers? I was like, my mouth was just agape. I was also like hooked up on melatonin, and it's 4 a.m. So I was just like, what is happening right now? and I was just like, man, I hope the rest of the nurses are nicer.
Yes.
And
everyone was.
And literally everybody else was great.
Was amazing.
And super nice and super accommodating.
Yes.
And it was just, I think she had been there for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe she was just having a bad
having a bad morning.
But then we confirmed with our doula that that's just how she is. And so maybe she should pick a different occupation. But I digress.
But that was fun.
We got in there. And then we went in. You went in and started.
I went into the triage, and they checked me. Yeah, I was 4 centimeters, and I mean, if you know anything about birth, I would never have known what any of this meant. But yeah, I was 4 centimeters and 90% effaced, which was great to hear. And he was at like -1 station. All the terminology.
I learned all of this like while I was there. If you don't know what that means, don't worry.
Just like where his head is in regards to like how close it is to
being
exiting.
Yeah. So like it goes like if you're watching, my hand is up, and it's at -1, and then 0. And then +1, right? Mm-hmm. As he gets lower.
Yes, because it can also be like -2 or -3. Like,
right.
It can
like higher.
Yes, exactly.
So you want it to be, they say ideally you want it to be 10 centimeters with 100%
effacement.
Effacement. And then what does that mean? What does the effacement mean?
That's that your cervix is basically gone. Like it has thinned out so much that it's gone.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then what they ideally +1, I think.
I think so.
Ideally +1, which is the head
close to coming out.
As close to the canal.
Yeah, the exit.
As possible. And so she was at 4 centimeters, 90% effacement, and -1. Mm-hmm. And
so they were like, "That's great. Like you're in a great place." So then I went to my room. Was just breathing through the painful contractions. I knew I wasn't going to be a noise-making person. I knew that for a fact, and that was exactly true. I was just taking deep breaths. I did not make any noise. And
no, you didn't. You didn't make any noise.
I knew that would be how I was.
Even during the push part, you didn't make any noise. You just made really strong exhales.
Yeah.
And so yes, and then you did. I mean, she was an absolute rock star. This was one of the, as a man, especially because you're not ever having to do this or deal with this. Mm-hmm. Deal with this is not the right term. You're never having to experience this, but watching your wife or your girlfriend, just watching this happen, it's like one of the most miraculous things you'll ever experience. It's just astounding. And just to like see you produce life was just like the most heroic thing I've ever seen. It was amazing. And she was an absolute rock star. She took her contractions all the way to 7 centimeters.
Yeah, when they kept checking me.
So she did that naturally.
I was at 5. They checked me. I was at 5. They checked me. I was at 6. Like it was literally just progressing very like slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. They checked me. I was at 7, and that was a handful of hours later, and it had been. I was just tired because I hadn't slept.
Yeah,
I didn't go to bed.
Just been basically pushing for.
I was just like breathing and being in pain, and breathing and minutes. Bouncing. Right.
Can you imagine being in pain every 4 minutes? Like having, I don't know what's the equivalent for a guy.
I don't know what it would be either.
There probably isn't anything.
Honestly, the contractions did not feel like I was expecting them to feel.
Really?
Either. Yeah. At the beginning they did because they felt like cramps. Like period cramps.
Like if they stay like this will be a breeze.
And I was curious because when I had my miscarriage, it was extremely painful.
Yeah, I remember that. You were doubled over.
Yeah, it was extremely painful. But that was purely like, it felt like very, 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 very intensified period cramps. So I was kind of expecting labor to just like progress like that, but the pain changed. Like the further along I got, for me anyway, obviously it's different for everyone, but for me, the pain after it, the initial ones were kind of like felt like cramps, but then it turned into like back pain, like back and hip pain, like extreme joint achiness, like someone's like driving a stake into my hip joint.
Really?
Like it's hard to explain.
Yeah. So every 4 minutes that's happening.
What May was doing to my back, that's our doula's name. What May was doing to my back was like so helpful. That made such a big difference.
Thank God for her.
Truly.
If you have the means, we would recommend getting a doula. You don't have to, obviously, and we're not telling you. We're never going to tell you what to do or what not to do.
For us, because we didn't, just as first time.
But
going to labor for the first time.
What we experienced.
It created so much peace of mind.
Yeah, for me and you, because I think you could trust that somebody was there that knew what they were doing and could answer your questions.
Yes. And could also talk to the midwives.
Yeah, right. And advocate for us.
Yes. And be like, can she do this? Can she do that? Like, and she could ask, in an experienced way. And you didn't have to be that go-between person.
Yeah, it just took a lot of pressure off of me too, to be that person.
Yeah.
Or to feel like I know all the answers, or need to know all the answers.
Yeah.
I could just defer to her and just be there for you. And that was great. She was a lifesaver. So great.
But then when they checked me and I was at 7 centimeters, I decided that I wanted to get an epidural because I wanted to rest. And I had goals to go to, not do any pain meds. And I have such massive respect for people who take it all the way for 21 hours, without anything. Cause I was exhausted and I was like, I'm not going to be able to rest at all. By the time it's time for me to push, I'm going to be so just exhausted. So I got the epidural when I was at 7 centimeters, and that was a less horrifying experience than I was anticipating. It's just like the idea of getting a needle into your back is like so scary. Mm-hmm. So scary. It's like, that's your spine. That's major.
Yeah. I was like on the front of her and like she was like bent over when they did it, and I purposely didn't look because apparently the needle is a scary long. So I didn't look at all, but you handled that really well too. Like you just took that like a champ.
Yeah, they numb you with lidocaine at least. So when it goes in, you can't feel it.
When the epidural like kicked in, did it feel like, how did that feel?
It's interesting. Cause it like, it definitely was like, okay, I'm starting to feel relief. Like, okay, I think I can see on the monitor that I'm having a contraction, but it feels much less intense than what I was experiencing 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So that was great. And also the anesthesiologist I don't know if I'm assuming it's in their control. Like, it was amazing because my fear with an epidural also was, I was like, I don't want to.
That you were going to like lose all feeling
yes.
from your bottom half.
Yes, exactly. Which was not the case at all. I could literally still completely move my legs. I could have, they don't let you stand up or walk around when you have an epidural, but I could have, because my legs, like, I had so much feeling in my legs, and also like I could still feel the pressure, like extreme pressure of the contractions and everything. And so then when it came time to push, like I knew when it was time to push because I could still feel the extreme pressure of him coming down. So I was so happy about that. It was like the perfect level of epidural, and they give you that little button to push if you want like an extra hit. And I was like, I don't want to press it. I pressed it maybe twice, I think.
Yeah, I think you pressed it like 2 or 3 times.
Cause I was like, I don't want it to get more intense.
Yeah.
So I got that at 7 centimeters, and that allowed me to be able to relax for a bit, because it was like, I don't know, like a handful of more hours before I got to 8 centimeters.
Yeah. It took I think the epidural just slowed it down a bit. Cause then it was a pretty slow progression to 8 and then 9 and then 10. But
at least it kept progressing. I did never stall, which was great.
Yeah, it did.
Like
it
every
just took,
time,
a couple hours maybe.
And when they checked me when I was 8 centimeters, they broke my water because my water hadn't broken. Mm-hmm. So, the midwife was like, I can break your water and see if that progresses things any faster. And I was like, well, you might as well.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm right here.
That's also crazy. They literally take this little like hook.
It's like a crochet hook.
Yeah, it does. It does. It looks like a crochet hook. Like she just took out of her knitting bag.
Knitting bag.
And she just goes in and like, she's like, beep.
Yep.
And then poof, there goes the water, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was wild.
And so then I just like, they were really great with like giving me different positions to try. And there were some where I would have more contractions, but it wasn't agreeing with him. because like the babies, they're monitoring the baby's heart rate, and when I was having contraction, I would have a contraction and his heart rate would dip. And that's like, it can happen here and there, but there was it's so interesting, like there were certain positions where that would happen to his heart rate with every contraction. And so they were like,
do you remember what it was?
We can't keep you in this position. It was like upright, when I was upright. When I was more upright, and there was one where like they had the little peanut ball, and like my leg was like over top of it. Do you remember when that was like that? And then this one was like this. That's supposed to help.
Yeah.
Like progress labor, but it didn't agree with him, so I had to keep going down onto my side because that was like
that
the position.
To be the position
that like agreed with him and where I was comfortable. And also there was like a little bit of my cervix left, and so Kendall, the midwife, was like, lay on your right. She told me to lay on my right side because of like where the little bit of my cervix was left, and she was like, and you need to be in this position so that goes away. So interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
I was like, yeah, whatever, just I'll get in any position that's gonna make this move along.
Yeah.
So then I got to 9. I mean, then it was just a basic progression from there.
Yeah.
Then I got to 9. Then I got to 10. There was a point where I had a slight fever.
Oh yeah.
And so I think they gave me fluids, but it was like 99. It was like 99 point something. Crazy. It wasn't extreme. Also, I'm like, getting an IV is one of the worst things. It was maybe my least favorite part of the whole thing was the freaking IV.
I was just going to say that. I think you hated that more than you hated the birth part.
I did. Because I was like, I have to, whatever, I have to have contractions. Do I have to have this IV in my hand? Which I theoretically, yes, I did. Yeah. Man, IVs suck. Yeah. They're so painful and uncomfortable. And then it was like having it taped there for like the next bit of after I gave birth, I was like, okay, how much of this can come off of me now? Yeah,
because it was on your hand. It was like taped to your hand. Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention it. Like you were strep positive.
Oh yeah, group B strep.
Yeah.
So I had to
that's why she had to get.
So I had to get antibiotics every 4 hours.
Yeah.
But they give you an IV whether you have to do that or not.
Oh, they do.
Yes, and they just like block it off, so just in case something emergent happens. You already have an IV, and they can like take you into surgery. I hated that so much. Yeah. I kept asking after he came out. I kept being like, "Can I have this out now? Can I have this out now?
Yep.
Can I have this out now?"
And they're like,
"No,
until 24 hours."
Yeah, and then someone else was like, "No, the whole time you're on the postpartum floor." Hello. The whole time you're on the postpartum floor, you have to have it in. But then, luckily, the nurse who was there when it had been 24 hours was like, "Do you want that out?" And I was like, "You're my favorite person." Oh, sorry, buddy. Did I startle you? I'm so sorry.
Oh, look who's getting it. Oh.
No, I think he's
and good night.
Crazy that newborns like open up their eyes while they're sleeping.
That is crazy. So,
but yes. So then I got to 9, then I got to 10, and then
you were at 10 centimeters, 100% facing, but still at I think -1.
Yeah, I don't think he ever moved past.
He never moved past -1, and so they're like, well, I think she can start pushing. Yeah. They all come in and she gets ready to push. Yep. She is on her side, by the way.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just like the movies where you're on your back and your legs up in the stirrups and that whole thing.
Yep.
But no, she was on her side.
Yeah, because they were like, "What position do you want to push in?" I was like, "I don't know." It's like, well, and the midwife and the OB they were just so great.
Yeah, they were.
And she was like, "Well, you're already on your side, so let's try on your side first." And I was like, "Okay." And then she's like, "If that's not working, then we'll just adjust from there." And I was like, "Okay, fantastic." But thankfully, I never had to change positions. I just pushed him out from there. Yeah. Started pushing at 8:30, and he came out at 9:05.
Yeah, literally. I mean, like it was like 35 minutes of pushing, and he was out. I think he had 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds of pushing, where they were like, "Okay, do 3. We're going to do 3 pushes. Here's 1.
That's hard.
Again, push 2.
Pushing for that long, like they would count to 10. That was, and they're like, but like, don't breathe out. They're like telling you like you don't breathe out. You just literally push. That's hard.
I think your dance background as well as you being somebody who works out
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
probably helped you be more in touch with
I think so.
your body and your muscles and where you're pushing, because they were like very specific as to like where to push. And they were saying, they were like, that was one of the fastest labors I've ever seen from a firstborn. Like somebody
for
who, for a first time,
well, not labor, but pushing. Like
Yes.
the time of pushing.
Yeah, from the time of pushing.
I was like, I'm trying to do this for as little time as possible. So I was even before.
Oh my gosh.
I was like,
crazy.
any, because they were like, what kind of guidance do you want? I was like, any and all. As much coaching, give me all the coaching. Tell me what to do and I will follow instructions.
And you did.
And I did.
Yeah. The midwife was like, okay, push here. And then you did. And then bing, bang, boom. And I was I was just by her.
Yeah, he was.
And I was like,
me.
I'm not going to look down there. I'm just going to be with you. And then all of a sudden.
Your face when he's coming out is absolutely hilarious. You're like, just the most, like, what's happening? Oh,
there's a toot.
Excuse you.
I wonder if that will get on the. He is a tooty monster.
He is a little tutor.
He just toots constantly.
He does. But yeah, so he was up by my face.
All of a sudden, the midwife was just like, look down, your baby. I was like, whoa, what? And I looked down and there's just a head of hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. I was just not expecting that much hair.
Yeah. Well, when
she
was saying, she was like, oh my gosh, I can see, like, she's like, I see, like, look at all that hair. Even before he had like come out completely, like when his head was, right there. It was like, oh, I can, like, he has so much hair. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, just come out.
And then he did.
And then he
popped out.
Yeah.
They put him right on her.
Yeah.
He had pooped in her.
Yep.
So there was a lot of that stuff. What is it called?
Meconium.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently he pooped a good amount.
Yeah.
They were like, wow, that's a lot of poop.
Afterwards, when they were like, they deliver your placenta and all of that, they were like, wow, so much meconium. It's like, I'm just like 2 thumbs up. Great. Sounds good.
So they wiped him down.
Yeah.
And put him on the scale. And then after they wiped him down, like he peed.
Oh my gosh, like across the room.
The midwife had to dodge it. Almost got her and peed, halfway across the room. And it was a solid, like probably 30-second, maybe.
It went so high.
30-second pee that just kept going.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, he was holding that in.
Couldn't hold your poop,
a good peer and a good pooper, and that still stands.
Yeah, but then, and he was good.
Yeah, 8 pounds, right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
He was a little swollen in the eyes.
I mean, I think that's common.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. I'm like,
had some trauma from the birth canal.
Not all newborns are cute. So I was just prepared for that.
I mean, most are not when they come out because they've just been through a lot.
I know, literally look at
his head.
Aliens.
His head shape was pretty good when he came out.
He was, yeah. He didn't have a cone head or anything.
No.
Yeah, the swelling went down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you were cute. You were actually a cute newborn. And I'm not saying that as a biased parent.
Just the truth.
It is.
He's literally smiling
right now. You're kidding me. He's like, I know. I'm going to leave you a present.
Yeah. So it was just a very smooth experience.
Yeah.
And then I was just like so antsy to get out of the hospital.
Yeah, we wanted to leave like that night. If we could, we would. But they were like, no, you have to stay for 24 hours or something like that? Yeah, you have to
stay for at least 24 hours. And since I had him at night, that, had to stay till Tuesday. Right. Like had him Sunday night at 9. So then we had to stay until Tuesday. I
know some people are like, oh, I want all the days. I'll take all 2 or 3 days that the hospital will give me. And we're like, get me home.
Yeah.
We want all of their.
No, thank you. It's like, I was just like, I didn't sleep really at all in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's like people come in all the time and I don't know. It's just like, I don't like hospitals and I don't know. Just wasn't like the showers and no, thank you. Like I was just so excited to go home. Like every check he had in the hospital was good. And
all the pediatrician checkups have been good too.
Yeah. And my recovery was good. I will say that after I gave birth, I was so swollen. My feet and my ankles for the next few days were more swollen than they ever were in pregnancy. I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
Although I thought it was going to last a lot longer than it did. In a few days it was gone completely and I was back to normal. So that was good. Oh.
Yep. There's a toot. I hope you could hear this. I hope you can. Hopefully he does it again.
Microphone to the butt. Oh. Yeah. Maybe it was See if it was audible.
Let it rip. Let it rip.
Having some gas pain. Oh, buddy.
Oh, you can tell when he has some gas pain.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was a very smooth experience, honestly.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it was just like the most miraculous thing to witness. Your moms are truly just superheroes. They are. What you guys do to bring life into the world is, it's just incredible. It never will not be.
Pretty miraculous. It's very crazy.
And now we have a kid.
And now we have
and
a
now our
full
life
human.
Is very different.
Mm-hmm. A full
in beautiful
human.
ways, and in difficult ways.
Mm-hmm.
But this is our life now, and
it's just a transition. A change of season.
It is.
And he's going to be a newborn for such a short amount of time.
Little smush. I know. It's just. I know it's going to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's already growing up. I already see like changes. He's like already like a little boy, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So that's our birth story, and the next episode we'll go into how postpartum has been. Yeah.
Just the transition.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you guys for allowing us to have a break, and it's been needed. We're a little sleep deprived.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. But we appreciate you.
We do.
Subscribe if you haven't yet, like, comment, all the things. It helps out the algorithm and helps us out as well. Mm-hmm. And so we just appreciate you.
We do.
If this helps you out, share it with somebody that feel like can benefit from it. Mm-hmm. And we love y'all.
We do.
And as we always end our podcast, you thought I was going to forget. We like to end our podcast by saying goodbye. Man, I thought it was going to be good for a second. It started so strong.
For a second. I thought it was going to be good for a second.
Bad.
I was also trying to be a little quiet.
Well,
even though he doesn't wake up to any noise.
No,
he just wakes up
I scream.
when he wants to wake up.
It doesn't, like, he's used to it.
Yeah.
He's used to it. Bye.
See ya.